it live. Let's get this set up.
I may process a little slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
You can take your time to answer.
yeah. I got into work this morning and I saw Dave and he goes, crushing it. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, you didn't see the post? Like, no,
Wait,
not yet.
you see Dave at work?
Yeah, Dave. I see
July?
him. Yeah,
I didn't know this.
yeah.
Did I know this?
That's how he was telling me about the program that you were doing and he invited me in and then, you know,
Oh shit.
how it happened. So you could thank that man.
Do you know then that I've known Dave since I was like not born?
Yeah, he was telling me that he's best friends with your dad.
Yeah, since forever.
So we've
Oh,
seen you develop this entire company, you know.
he's seen a lot more than I'd probably like to share.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, it happens. Okay, just one sec. We're almost ready to go here.
Just gonna. I don't really have the greatest setup because I don't have a laptop. Well, I do, but the webcam doesn't work.
Hmm.
Is that all right?
Yeah, looks good. All right, three, two, one, and I believe we are live. Although I will say this, I've spent quite a lot of time talking to myself on these things, so I'm going to double check and just make sure
No, I just got a notification saying that you're live.
we are live. So, first of all, I wanted to welcome all of you, rebels at home, that may be joining us this evening. If you're with us, please hashtag live. Let us know you're here. I am joined this evening by Gennifer Roy. She has been so kind to come on and talk a little bit about her situation, her experience with working with us at Rebel Living, specifically with Coach Mike. I'm going to be asking her a few questions just to kind of give you guys some insight into how she ended up here in the first place and some of the progress that she's made as a part of the program, the successes that she's had. Before I do that, I want to give an opportunity for you to introduce yourself. So if you would please take it
Yeah.
away.
Hey guys, I'm Jen, and I have been an athlete my whole life. Thankfully, born into that in my family. So moving has always been a huge and major part of my life. I couldn't live without it. So this was a little easier for me to kind of get into the swing of things with. And being a personal trainer myself, training clients, helping others, I know that it's important to also be coached, be a student, and I wanted to do that. And I thought this was a great opportunity to do that.
Thank you. So again, welcome. I appreciate you jumping on tonight. And again, if you're watching with us live, go ahead and hashtag live. Let us know you're here. And let's jump into it. First question I have for you. Um, you just mentioned that you are also a coach. Could you talk about the most important thing in your mind about having a coach in any facet?
Absolutely. Um, it's important to learn, always be learning. There's always new things changing, especially in the fitness world. It's been ever changing, I believe, for 50 years, like very suddenly and very intensely. So if we're not learning, how are we able to evolve? ourselves and to help others evolve. And I believe, like we spoke about before, that you can get overwhelmed in your life with all the little things that we have to do every day, to just take care of ourselves, take care of our career, our home. And when you have someone who can be a mentor or a guide or a coach for you, it helps to release that off your shoulders so that they can help focus on that for you and kind of just give you the guidelines to follow rather than you having to figure it out all on your own. And I think that that is a big thing because everybody has room for improvement. And if
Absolutely.
anybody can't be a student, then they're just hurting themselves.
I think it's especially important, especially in this day and age with Google and everything being at our fingertips. And I'm sometimes guilty of this myself with the WebMD stuff, trying to quickly learn. But let's be honest, when it's something that it's a real serious concern, we're going to a doctor. You go into a professional for guidance and for help to simplify the process. So you said it very well, is it kind of takes a lot of that pressure off you. And I know that you definitely understand that because you do that same thing for so many other people in your day to day, which from our perspective, it brings us great pride to have someone with the knowledge and the experience and the background that you have to trust us. So thank you. So next question. You obviously are very driven. High level sports, you're an athlete your whole life, you're a high achiever. So naturally coming in, you had goals. What were your major goals with coming into a program like this, into Rebel Living?
Mainly to just focus on those personal goals, which were building more core strength and really getting down to more muscle definition, which was something that I've never particularly focused on because being an athlete, being on team sports, we always had that common goal, sport performance. And I didn't have the opportunity to ever work on my own personal goals because I didn't have the time for it. And it's always been something I've wanted to do. So that was, I thought, a great opportunity to get those guidelines nutritionally to help bring in more muscle definition by shedding fat, maintaining and building muscle, as well as getting more of that strength work in rather than doing a workout that I am required to do for work, you know, focusing on something that I'm interested in compared to just doing it because I kind of have to.
I think that correlates so well with the majority of the people that I speak to, whether it's in the group or have interest in joining the group. And it's always a matter of, is it selfish? Do I have enough time? Can I make the time to prioritize my desires, my needs, right? And that's something that you for so long had put to the side because you were so focused on helping others, which is a great thing. It's a really, really special thing to be able to help other people. And of course, I commend you for that. And the majority of the people that are probably listening to this are probably in the same boat, maybe not coaching group classes, but are probably prioritizing other people, other things in their lives over themselves. So I think it's great for people to hear someone like you with the background that you have to be able to say, it's okay to focus on yourself and put your goals at the forefront because I think then, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you can help more people, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. I appreciate that answer. I like that a lot. But with that said, I'm sure it wasn't easy. There were things that stood in your way. There were challenges. There was a reason that you sought guidance ultimately deeper than just alleviating some of the stress and the pressure of knowing what to do. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced or struggled with prior to joining?
Making that time for myself. I remember always saying that. I just want more time to be able to do the things that I want, because I was just overworking myself, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, it feels amazing. My one of my favorite things is to work on ourselves because how you have to shine your own light. And if
That's the truth.
you're constantly trying to help other people, which you said which is good, but you also have to help yourself
I
first.
always like to give the example when you're on an airplane, and God forbid this happens, but problem on the plane and the oxygen masks come down. What do they tell you to do?
Hmm.
Put it on yourself first.
Hmm.
If you don't have the oxygen, you can't help others. So it's a great correlation. So you had some big goals, you had some things in your way, and you came in. Talk a little bit about how things shifted for you once you actually started working with the Rebel Living program with Coach Mike. What were some of the biggest shifts that you noticed right away?
Based on results or like day to day things that I had to carry out.
Either or both,
Okay.
whatever you notice the most of.
Okay. So a few years ago, I started eating more plant based. So that was already kind of in the swing of things. I was used to that. And prior to that, I have allergies to gluten and corn. So I've already learned how to stay away from that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just from experience, the nutrition part was what was challenging, and what I saw with that was that I wasn't eating enough protein. I also wasn't focusing on it. I was just focusing on making sure I was avoiding the things I wanted or needed to, and just learning how to cook more plant based, but not necessarily focusing on the protein. Whereas when I started with Mike, he looked at all my macros and we got numbers multiple times, um, which I was happy about. And it just keeps getting better with that. And as I started to eat more protein and less fat and carbs, I could see the fat shed off my body and I could see my muscles more, which was really cool because honestly, I've never really seen my abdominal muscles as much as I do right now.
Not a bad thing, is it?
No, and it feels great. Just not like I need to have it for a specific reason. It's just, all right, I know I'm putting in that core strength work because it's not just the nutrition. He's also blowing my abs up,
If
which
anybody's
I
going to do
love.
it, he's going to be the one.
Yeah, and that they're very enjoyable. All of the training programs and sessions, I'm always looking forward to doing them, which
Now,
makes me happy.
it makes me happy too. It makes me very happy. And you've been pretty open about this throughout the process. So I think I may have a good idea of the answer to this question. It's kind of a layup, if you will. But be honest, right? Don't say it just to make me happy. As far as implementation, right? This was new to you. This was changes that were happening, different way of training, different way of eating. How did you find it to actually implement the process? The part of it that I feel like most people might worry could be overwhelming.
I just made sure to make that time for myself too. Like I've never meal prepped before, so I'd ask Mike, "All right, what do you do? Like how do
Mm-hmm.
you do it?" Well, I don't have time to cook 4 times a week, nor do I want to make that time because I want to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy cooking, but I also don't want that to be daily. So implementing it was challenging in a sense of because it was new, like meal
Right.
prepping. All right, I had to write stuff down, really pre-plan. And then over time, I started using my Fitness Pal to plan instead of writing it down on paper. So that saved me more time. Um, so implementing it, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to get things right. So for me, I guess I could say it was on the easier side, but there were still challenges, of course. So I think the most important thing is being vulnerable with yourself and allowing yourself to mess up and make a mistake.
It's
And
inevitable.
yeah, when I first started, I didn't necessarily meal prep for the first week or two, but I was making sure that I got my macros in. So at the end of the day, if I didn't get meat what I needed, I was eating egg whites. And it was not enjoyable, you know?
No.
But I haven't had to do that in about 3 months now.
So
So,
you've gotten, it sounds like a bit of an education on being more flexible with your food choices, the day to day structure of your nutritional habits.
yes. And the training um, is definitely more frequent because I would train between 4 to 6 days a week, and it wouldn't necessarily be all strength training. Like some of those days would be a run or a hike, and maybe half of it would be some HIIT workouts or random strength work because I like to do it all. So, um, I
Right in
like to
that
enjoy
same
what
club.
I'm doing. So, but having the consistent program to work on, I see the results a lot faster. But I still also make that time to go for a hike, or there's a little bit of running and aerobic fitness within the program too. So I'm able to get some of that in within the program. But implementing it was just a little bit more frequent,
Right.
but I was able to get it done because I'm I'm asking for someone to make the time to create this program for me. It would be, in my eyes, on me. I would feel guilty or like shame on me. I'm not putting it all in either. So I'm gonna give it my all because he's
Committed.
giving it all for me too. So,
You're committed. That's
as
it.
well as Carl, Carl has helped me so much too with my mobility. I was telling Mike the other day, I was able to do an overhead squat for the first time all the way, like to parallel with my legs, with just the bar. But, you know,
Hey,
that was great, you know?
exactly. That's progress. That's a PR. You know, that's what we strive for. Carl's a magician. I'll tell you what, he kept me together and I made him work for it. I promise you that. And he'll attest to, I was probably his biggest pain in the ass of all the people he worked for. And somehow he managed to keep me in one piece. It's amazing. So I'm happy that you have the opportunity to be able to experience the benefits of that, specifically because of the goals that you have, but in general, because our health is so important. And that kind of parlays into my next question, because what Carl focuses on is more of our joint health, our ability to be able to move well day after day. And many of the people that are part of this community may not necessarily be as athletic as you or interested in being as athletic as you have trained yourself to be. Some people might just fall into the category of wanting to go and do the hike or be able to play with children or grandchildren and not feel pain or discomfort or have the energy and the motivation to go and do these things. So my question is, beyond the actual strength work that you've been doing, the gymnastics work, the specificity of that, have you noticed carryover into the other parts of your life that aren't specifically fitness related?
Absolutely. I definitely have less pain. That is huge for me because from so many injuries from playing sports, especially in the ankles, Carl has given me so much stuff, not just even specifically with the ankles, but through the entire body, up the spine, through the shoulders to the neck. And because of that, I don't wake up with a limp every morning, because of
Mhm.
pain in my foot or and that I mean, no one likes to be in pain. You can deal with it, but it's like, all right, well, there's something wrong. Let's fix it, you know? So I think that was a big game changer, definitely. It feels better to wake up every day. And um, even like I have a couple smaller nephews, and they're 2 and 3, so they're running around everywhere. And it feels a little easier to have more energy throughout the day, even with such an active job, that even by the end of the day, I'm usually pretty good, as long as I get enough sleep and eat enough food, which is usually the case. Um, Even just endurance, like going up and down stairs. I'm just trying to think of like the daily things that I do. Um,
I
I need a
think
lot of strength for work too, so that I notice a difference in just form. Um, I just feel better physically and
yeah,
mentally and emotionally.
well, those are big ones. Mentally and emotionally, I mean, there's so much carryover between how we feel physically to how we handle our mental state and our emotional state. Um, so what I will say is this: I think the fact that you have to try and search for things in your day to day to grab onto to pinpoint is telling, because the fact that there's nothing popping to mind means that you're not experiencing any aches and pains throughout your day. You're not experiencing the fatigue or the overwhelm that you used to. So with that, um, how about the mental and the emotional stuff? If you feel comfortable sharing, surface level, we don't need to go deep here. It's not a therapy session, but I don't need your deepest, darkest secrets. But I know that's a big thing for a lot of people that I talk to, is there's a roadblock there. So what have you noticed as far as growth or change in those areas?
Mentally, definitely a lot more focus on my other personal goals that have nothing to do with fitness and nutrition. Um, I have dreams. Everybody has dreams that they want to accomplish. It's just whether they're going to put the work in. And I mean, I fall victim to that, to not putting some of that work in, because sometimes you're not sure how to go about it, or you're what's the word? You're doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this allows me to just kind of face more fears, even though they may not look like fears to you, but you're facing a fear or an obstacle, and you're pushing through that barrier. You're climbing over that wall more frequently, more efficiently. At least that's how I feel. And emotionally, it, I don't know. I mean, of course, everybody, especially being a woman, things go like up and down and whatnot. But I think it allows me to feel my emotions more than, all right, I have to do this no matter what I'm feeling, kind of thing. I think it's really important to take more time for yourself, to allow yourself to feel your emotions and go with that and allow it to flow instead of rejecting it. So it's allowed me to make more time and space to do that as well.
It's, again, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you have the confidence and the comfort with us to be able to share that stuff. I know it's not an easy thing to talk about, especially in a public forum like this. Uh, but it's evident that you've come a long way, which is, as you know, as a coach, coaches love to see that.
Mhm.
And it fills us all as a team on the Rebel Living side with so much pride to see that growth and that development and this confidence that you display, even in the short time that we've known each other. So I really love it. I can't even thank you enough. It makes me so happy. I'm like having the pain in my cheeks now from the grin that you got me wearing. So the physical transformation is obvious. I think everyone's seen your picture, and that was unbelievable, just amazing. And it's all because of the hard work that you've put in. There's there's no magic to what we do. There is a system and a structure and a process, but you're the one that put in the work. Um, and we appreciate your commitment to doing that because it's a wonderful thing to see that transformation. And now to be able to go deeper and to hear about some of the things that you don't see and the transformations that you've made there only makes that physical transformation that much more powerful. And I have no doubt now that the original goals that you've set and hit and conquered will beget newer, bigger goals that you'll set and hit and conquer. And this is going to be your way of life going forward, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I'm like most excited about is the better habits, um, and the learning, even though I've learned so much in such a short period of time, there's still so much more to learn and perfect, you know,
We're
nothing's perfect.
perfectionists.
Yeah, but nothing's ever going to be perfect, but it's always something to strive to evolve and better yourself.
I think
So
there's
I'm
a famous
grateful for
quote:
that.
"The peace is in the process."
Yeah, and I like the process. It's enjoyable. You have to enjoy what you're doing before you get to your goal. Like if you're not, then why are you doing it?
So I think I mean, that says it all to me is that, hey, if you're wondering, it's not terrible to be on a diet or on a nutrition plan or in a coaching program. You just said it's enjoyable. Yes?
Oh yeah. I mean,
That's pretty
say
damn
strength
cool.
say strength training is not for everybody, but somebody wants to eat better. They want to have better habits. They want to lose weight or whatever it is. You can go about it in multiple different ways. And I think that's what everyone in the whole world should know is that it's not a one size fits all.
That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Now, let me ask you this. Before I ask you my last question, because I have one more specific question that I want to ask. Is there anything else that you think that I missed that you'd like to share?
I can't think of anything at the top of my head besides working with Jess Thurman and a couple others that were in the group. So she was, I can't remember what the POWR stands for. You might. Um,
Plant-based, organic, whole food resource.
that's right. Okay.
Plant power.
So that was really cool because, I mean, you go online, you look up all these blogs, and they're really good. I get a lot of recipes from people who blog.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but having the face to face interaction, even though it's through the internet, but having that face to face interaction with her as well as a couple others that I'm doing this with, it just that support. Like a little group that we have that we're focusing on this specific goal of ours, whereas then the other two they have their other goals too, nutritionally or fitness wise, and I have my own, and but we're able to all learn together based on that similar goal, which I think is awesome, especially because Jess is a plethora of knowledge. She's been doing this for 5, 6 years, I believe she said, and I'll ask, hey, you know this recipe? And it's like, oh yeah. She just like throws it together like she's been doing it her whole life. Whereas me, if I have to make something, I gotta look it up, and I know it's gonna take me, you know, time and time and time again to remember that recipe compared to always having to look it up. So it's like learning how foods are put together. For instance, making a cheese sauce. There's so many different recipes for that because it doesn't actually require real cheese.
Right.
You can make it out of cashews, you can make it out of tofu, you can make it out of potatoes. Like, so there's so many different options, which I think is really cool. So if you really wanted, for instance, a cheese sauce, you can make it with whatever to fit your needs, you know?
Which
So,
makes it more fun.
yeah. And we've also focused on our gut health too,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Very
super
important.
important. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, that's where most things stem from. So I think that it's important for everyone to even focus on their gut health as well. And just having that knowledge from her, like, firsthand instead of just reading about it, like you said, like WebMD, you're reading about it kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But having her firsthand experience and how it's changed her life is empowering and inspiring.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna make sure that she hears this part of that because I'm sure she'll love that. She speaks so highly of all of you guys when we talk, so it's a wonderful thing. That community aspect, that support, that guidance is so important. So you've got nutrition and fitness with Mike. You've got chiropractic and mobility with Carl. You've got uh, everything plant based with Jess. Not to mention the entire Rebel Living community as a support group within that messenger that we have, that private group that we have. You built yourself a nice little family there. And that's what we strive uh, to give to everybody is tons and tons of support. My grandfather, he always said, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's the philosophy that we subscribe to. But I say it all the time. No one wants to hear it from me anymore. So my last question to you is there's a lot of people that are probably watching this that may be on the fence. What do you say to them?
Just do it. What do you have to lose? you know? I mean, invest in yourself. That's priceless. I mean, your health, your longevity. To me, that's just the way I view it. Is like, I want to live as old as possible, just like everybody else. But how are you going to get there? You know, are you gonna invest in yourself to help live, live while you get there? You know, like really live and what's the word? You know, live a life that or a lifestyle that's fulfilling as well as enjoyable and also preventative. You know,
That's the
so
key.
just with health in general and I say just do it. I mean, I remember when you messaged me, I was like, oh, this is interesting. No one's ever asked me about my goals before, besides like generic conversation, you know,
Right?
but it felt really genuine and I appreciated that. And I just kind of went for it. And I would ask myself, like, well, why not? You know,
And it
it's,
sounds like you're glad you did.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's it. That's the three things, right? Health, wealth, happiness. That's the most important things. So I can't thank you enough for everything that you've shared this evening, first of all, for taking the time this evening to share it with everybody that's watching. So again, if you're there, hashtag live, hashtag thank you to Jen for doing this. Let her know that you heard her message and that you appreciate the fact that she not only took the time, but was brave enough to come on here and share her story with you. Because for many of us, it's a very personal journey, our health and our wellness, and it can be a little bit intimidating to get on here and do this. So if you're watching, please make sure to show some love to Jen and give her a big thank you. Maybe share one of your biggest takeaways so that she knows, because I know how important it is for you, Jen, to be able to help others and to be able to support them in changing their lives, reaching their goals. So if you're watching, I'm sure she would appreciate hearing in the comments what you took from this, how she's helped you maybe see things a little bit differently. And again, one last time, thank you so much for everything. You're the best.
Thank you as well. Greatly appreciate being a part of the group.
So happy to have you. Guys, that's it from us tonight. It's just about dinner time, so we're gonna jump off here and end this live, and we'll see you on the next one. Beautiful thing. So we are